Okay, so welcome everyone to today's Sovryn Tea Twitter space. Bienvenidos to all our guests from across the world. Gracias a todos por venir. My name is Magnus, and I will be your host tonight. Our topic today is Living La Vida Bitcoin, how Bitcoin has influenced Latin America and Spain. With El Salvador paving the path for nation-state Bitcoin adoption, rumors of other Latin American states declaring Bitcoin as legal tender, and an ever-growing number of orange-pilled politicians in Latin America, Spain, and beyond, we believe there's never been a better time to address this subject. So, I'm just going to add Javier as a speaker. Okay, there you go, Javier. To discuss this, we are joined by our in-house guest, Edan Yago. He's a Bitcoin OG and early contributor to Sovereign Protocol.
Hey, hey.
Hey. You've been in the space since 2011. You founded a few Bitcoin companies, including Epiphyte and Cement DAO.
Yeah, I was definitely in the space before there were Bitcoin, before there were Twitter spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also have on the call Lunaticoin. He's a strong proponent of Bitcoin in the Spanish-speaking world. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, and we hear that you host the Lunaticoin podcast and you're a collaborator at the Studio Bitcoin, which we hear is a space that helps Spanish speakers adopt Bitcoin. Is that right?
That's perfectly right. I'm a collaborator there, but yeah, my main thing is the podcast, a weekly show where I talk anything Bitcoin.
Beautiful. And we also have Roman Martinez in the corner. He's the community leader at Bitcoin Beach, a place where it all started for El Salvador.
Hey, hello. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yes, great.
Hello.
We can't wait to hear about your story too. Everyone here is going to be very stoked to hear about that. And I hear that there is Juan in Cripto in the house. He is the director of Revolucion Bitcoin, and you're also a co-host of Tune Into the Block, the Bitcoin podcast.
That's right. Thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure to be with my friends, colleagues, and more Bitcoiners.
Yes. And you're a YouTuber as well, and I've seen your stuff. You host the Juan in Crypto channel. Is that right? Juan in Crypto.
That's correct. I do a lot of things in this space. Happy to keep on teaching, sharing about Bitcoin.
Yes, stoked to have you, good sir. And also, last but not least, Javier Bastardo. He's the organizer of Satoshi in Venezuela, a community of Bitcoiners in Venezuela that focus on Bitcoin and education in the country. And you also host the Hablemos de Bitcoin, the Bitcoin podcast. Is that right?
Yes, sir. And thanks a lot for having me and with my friends and all the Bitcoiners that are around.
Yes, yeah, I can't wait to hear about just your story too with what's going on in Venezuela and how that's all working out. So guys, let's just each of us, if we get maybe a little brief moment, we could talk about your journey down the Bitcoin rabbit hole just as an introduction to all our listeners. Perhaps could we start with you, Lunaticoin? What brought you down the Bitcoin rabbit hole? What got you orange pilled?
Well, my story is like, I suppose, like everybody's or a lot of people, no? I started to read about Bitcoin on the news. The first time was 2013, and I was joking about it, like how crazy is that it was at 1,000 price level, no? And I was like talking with a family, like, oh my God, this is crazy. This is a scam. This will go to zero. Like a lot of people will cry. And I forgot about it. And then it was in 2017 when I saw that the price went back to 1,000. I was like, okay, maybe I'm missing something, but this thing that was supposed to die is back in 1,000 and like a month later wasn't 2,000. And I said, okay, it's time to have a look at it. So I got into Bitcoin from the price point. I came because of the greed, and I stayed because of the revolution. So yeah, that's my falling into Bitcoin's rabbit hole was a very common one. But after that, I just keep on finding rabbit holes, and this is what my podcast is about. It's any topic that I find is I want to study it, and I learn a lot in this 5.5 years that I've been in the scene. And of course, at the beginning, I was more into shit coins, and I did all this hero road that a lot of people, or the hero path, that a lot of people does, not understanding why or what should I be interested in. But after a year or so, I got to know Bitcoin, and yeah, I've never learned anything more in my life, and I'm an architect, so I had quite intense years of my life learning architecture, but I've never learned more than in these 4 years.
Wow. And are you located in Barcelona? Is that right?
I was. I used to live in Barcelona since a month ago, but now I'm relocated in the north of Europe.
Oh, okay, great. So you're from Spain originally, or Catalonia?
Yeah, Spain. Let's.
Yeah,
I'll
gotcha.
keep politics aside.
Sure. Absolutely. Thanks for that very much. And yeah, Roman, if you have a chance, could you tell us, I'm sure a lot of people are very interested in how you started and how Bitcoin Beach came about with that, right?
Guy, this is perfect. I was looking for a good architect to help me to build my house.
There we go.
Okay, Roman. Let's have I will charge you in Bitcoin. I can tell you that.
Thanks for having me again. I'm so happy to be here with everyone here. We met this year for the first time. Well, last year already. Yeah, for the first time I met Javier, Juan, and Lunaticoin. But I don't remember now who is. He still be anonymous for me, but I'm happy to meet all of them last year.
I was with you, but you don't know who I am. But I was with you in El Salvador.
Yeah. So, as you know, I'm one of the leaders here at Bitcoin Beach with Mike Peterson, Jorge Valenzuela, Irving, and me, and we're running Bitcoin Beach and Hub House here. So for us, we have been working in the social work in our community. We had one dream that bring all of us together, that was changing our community, because the only dream that the young people here had was to leave the country, to get to the United States and work in there and send the money back to their families here. And that was no hope for us, We born here, and as a child, the life was super hard for us. So Mike, he moved to our community, and he had been one of the person that have been believing in this community, believing us, teaching us about life, a different way to see life. So we start working in the community in 4 pillars, like education, recreation, spiritual, and empowerment. And 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago, we were based in donations, right? And someone approached Mike, that Mike knew someone that knew about all the social project that we were doing here, and he would be interested to help, but that help will be in Bitcoin, And at that point, the idea was how we can use that donation in Bitcoin in the social initiative, how we can pay the English teacher, pay the computer teacher, how we can offer a job to the people in our community that doesn't have a job, But maybe I will touch more about that later. Just we Bitcoin, since that have been the perfect tool for us to teach people financial education. And I will live in here, but this is how we get involved in Bitcoin. We see in first hand all the potential and all the things that Bitcoin is fixing now, all the things that now are not working, or at least working for a few people, but not for everyone.
Very good. Thank you for giving us a bit of a background there, for sure, Roman. Juan, could you maybe give us a bit what brought you into Bitcoin from the Spain side?
Sure. So I was probably the one who joined the most recently. Basically in 2017, I heard some friends talking about it. I initially heard about it probably around 2012, 2013, and I just dismissed it completely. I didn't even check the price as Lunaticoin did. I completely said, okay, this is obviously a scam. It's internet money, no, that cannot be. My background is in traditional finance, so I was probably wearing a tie and talking to very important clients or something like that, very stupid. And then in 2017, I said, okay, everyone is talking about it. Let's buy a book. And I bought this book called, it's funny because the book has a different name in the United States and in the UK. In the UK, it's called Cryptocurrency, The Future of Money. I don't remember the name in the US. But anyway, this book talked about this girl who is Afghani. And in Afghanistan, as we all probably know, women cannot have bank accounts, they cannot have property. And this kid who learns how to code realizes that she can sell her skills abroad and get money, get paid in Bitcoin. And this girl starts getting paid in Bitcoin, and she starts buying better computers, better equipment. She starts helping her family. And I saw at that point how Bitcoin opened her world. Bitcoin just helped her move to basically access some opportunities that she would never ever had if it wasn't for Bitcoin. And she didn't have to ask permission to the government, to the Taliban, to anyone. Like, she could do it by herself. So I got very interested in that story, and I decided to start exploring. And then a couple of months after, I said, okay, so let's start buying some to test it out. And once I tested and saw the block explorer and started seeing, oh, okay, this is working. Once I started to understand it, I said, okay, I need to share this with the world, and especially with the Spanish-speaking community. Normally, in Spain and Latin America, we don't speak very good English. So I said, okay, the resources are there, all the information about Bitcoin, it's out there, but obviously because of this lack of English, we are gonna get behind, as we always are. And I said, okay, the way I can contribute to this is to start teaching people in Spanish. So when I started my YouTube channel, I didn't know what was a YouTuber. I didn't know that there were YouTubers, that there were people talking in front of a camera, just explaining their, I don't know, ideas, views, sharing their lives. I saw myself more like a professor or someone who was trying to teach something. And that's how I started. And yeah, I'm sure that we will talk a lot more about it in a few minutes.
Yeah, I've seen your channel. It's very educational. So I definitely think you're successful at what you do in that regard for sure. And we'll delve into more. Thank you, Juan. Javier, if you could please delve into did you have an orange pill moment in Venezuela? How that happened?
I was writing as a phantom writer when in 2016, and things were really cool. Venezuelan economy was really cool. I was traveling around Venezuela to do my job, covering different cultural things that happen in Venezuela, and that was my life before Bitcoin and my life before the inflation and the hyperinflationary cycle that we have been passing these years. So I was working and earning bolivars. Everything was okay. But I have a friend in cryptonoticias.com that is a website in Spanish that said to me that, hey, if you are writing and have some time, maybe you can try this crypto stuff and write with us and all the stuff. I dismissed it, as all my friends said before. But as the economy in the country started to get worse and worse, I had to find another job. I was working with two different group of people, but I needed a third job. And that third job was with Crypto Noticias, that I started writing news with them in January 2017, before the start of the past bull run, before the past ATH. So my learning process was because I had to understand what was happening, to tell the people through my news articles what was happening, and I was linked to a brand like Crypto Noticias, so I had to learn faster and explain really easy how things are going. So that process forced me to really understand what was going on and what was all this technological stuff. But I wasn't happy with that. I started to write with Cointelegraph en Español, that is the Spanish version of Cointelegraph, and I wasn't happy yet. So I started Satoshi in Venezuela in middle of 2019, thanks to Samsung Mo and Francis Pouliot and all the early Bitcoiners that helped me to put this thing out. The main idea was to do meetups, so I did like 13 meetups in like 3 months around Venezuela, traveling different cities and seeing how the people is using or not using, but at least interested in Bitcoin. But the pandemic started, so I migrated to a digital format. That's when I launched the podcast, like in March 2020. And the podcast is really successful because even it is not as big as the Lunaticoin one, because Lunaticoin is the best podcaster in Spanish. He won't say that, but I will say it instead of him. Even it is not that big. I connected with people like Adam Back or Andreas Antonopoulos or even Michael Saylor, because all those voices want to know what is happening here in Venezuela. And I think that Satoshi in Venezuela community has been growing because there are really popular and I think that really deep interest in all the ways that you can make money, because the struggle of the economy is really hitting all the people that are here. So as I was in that moment in 2017, starting to find different solutions and all the stuff, I think that there are many Venezuelans in the same position today. And as Bitcoin have become more popular, I think that we can help others to like do the same path and understand Bitcoin and use it as a useful tool that it is.
Speaking of what you've been saying, many Latin America's countries have had volatile currencies, right? High inflation rates, political factors. As you said, in Venezuela, that's the case. Argentina, it's a big issue. And even Spain's has been prone to it to a lesser extent. How do you see Bitcoin assisting people to fight inflation? Javier, maybe you could start that just from your experience in Venezuela.
Okay, maybe today it is not as hard as was before, because today that function is mainly covered by USDT and all different stable coins. But back in the day, like in 2015, 2017, before the stable coins became that popular as they are today, all the people that have troubles to find dollars or to use the dollarized financial system of the world, because we are excluded of that, we're looking on ways to connect with that economy, on ways to buy things on the internet, or maybe do electronic payments and all this stuff. So I think that that's the main way that Venezuelans knew about Bitcoin. And of course, as the inflation gets worse and the dollars get harder to find and all the things get worse in the market of the different monies, Bitcoin started to be a good fighter in that different fight, because we have not only the dollar and not only USDT, not only Bitcoin itself, but also pesos, because we are near of Colombia, or reais because we are near of Brazil. So all the users of our economy are trying to find the tools that can be useful to them to survive the destruction of the national currency. So as today, we are seeing that the people that is still using Bitcoin as the main tool are doing so because they kind of understand the hard cap of Bitcoin against all different crypto projects, even against stable coins. So even though when you can see that Bitcoin have been displaced in in popularity because they are play-to-earn games, they are USDT, as I mentioned it. The people that they're still using and learning about it are doing so because they understand better how important is something that is capped, something that can be printed as bolivars. You know, you maybe have seen these videos where you can find a lot of bolivars in the street as if they are garbage. So I think that many of those that are still using Bitcoin and all these other crypto solutions are doing so because they already understand how important is this kind of hard cap in a kind of money, and also because they can make you, they can keep you out of Bitcoin. Like they can do it with MasterCard, they can do it with PayPal and all the stuff. We can get in a situation as Cubans are doing, but they can do the same thing with Bitcoin. And I think that that's why it is so important to keep the conversation going around Bitcoin and trying to show people how they can use it.
How do you guys think Bitcoin compares to stablecoins in terms of the usefulness and the mind share in Latin America? So what are the advantages that you guys see, if any, that Bitcoin has for day-to-day use, right? So even if people don't have this deep understanding of the economics of the hard cap, or maybe only if they do, how do you, in your experience across all of you, see Bitcoin competing against stablecoins in Latin America?
Okay, I'm gonna go first, given that nobody else unmuted themselves. So I think that there are different use cases, and the people who use stablecoins not necessarily want to use Bitcoin, and the same happens otherwise. In Latin America, a lot of people live with just the bare minimum. So they have very basic income, like a few dollars per day. So they cannot afford the volatility of Bitcoin. And also Bitcoin, like normally if you want to cash in or cash out, meaning converting Bitcoin into fiat, there are also some fees. So most of the people cannot afford to just use Bitcoin as a means of savings, just because they don't have any savings at all. When I was in El Salvador a few months ago, I'm not going to claim that I know El Salvador. I just went for the second time in my life. But when I was talking to the people, they were telling me, look, this Bitcoin thing, I mean, it's cool that nobody can censor you. It's very nice that you can have it in your app that is digital money, but I cannot just receive some money and then check a few minutes later and see that it diminishes in value. So for some people, they just want stability. They just want to get some money, use that money, and then leave, and that's it. For some other people, it's different. It's a different story. If you want unconfiscatable money, if you want some other value propositions that Bitcoin brings, then that's a different story. So I honestly don't see them competing. I don't think that the use cases are the same. And as long as Bitcoin continues to be so volatile, and I believe it's going to last still a few more years, or maybe many more years, unfortunately, not everyone is going to value all the things that we probably value more, because we understand a little bit more, and because fortunately, some of us, or most of us, maybe if we are here on a Twitter space, we at least have a mobile phone and have internet connection, and we are probably all have a roof and we are not hungry. So for us, it's a little bit different. That's how I see it. I don't see them competing. I see them as different use cases. And the stablecoin is gonna lose value. Like, you shouldn't save in a stablecoin. Stablecoin is fiat. It's just crypto fiat or digital fiat. Call it as you want. But it's the US can print more of that stablecoin or more of the underlying asset behind that stablecoin. You are not sovereign of your money, even if you use the centralized stablecoins. There are some intermediaries. Still, there's not like a real decentralized stablecoin, at least not that I know of. So I just see them as different animals. Actually, I believe it was this Monday, Fidelity digital assets, or the cryptocurrency division of Fidelity Investments released a relatively short article or document claiming that Bitcoin is completely different from all these other animals called cryptocurrencies. And I strongly agree with that. I don't believe that we can compare Bitcoin with any of the other cryptocurrencies, especially with stablecoins that are just digital fiat, on my view.
So I'm curious maybe to take this a little bit further, and Juan, I'm interested in your views, but maybe I'll just add two things. One, what are the use cases for the use of stablecoins if it's not savings? And two, if there was a decentralized stablecoin, a Bitcoin-backed stablecoin, would that have, do you think, a big advantage, or people wouldn't recognize the difference?
So I have to be honest, I haven't been living in Latin America for the last 8 or 9 years. And when I discovered Bitcoin, I was already out. So I never got to see how Latin Americans actually use crypto or like Bitcoin or any other stablecoin. So I don't think that you should use, or people shouldn't use, stablecoins as a means of saving, because once again, the value that they save in stablecoins is getting devalued. It's just losing value. Like on a dollar stablecoin, they just lost 7% of their value in the last year, with inflation being 7%. So that's not a good means of saving. I believe that people can use it as a way of cashing out from their fiat currencies, like other currencies that go down in value probably faster than the dollar, and as for example for remittances. For remittances purposes, some people can get dollars or crypto dollars from abroad, and that's a use case. Or for payments, to pay for international transactions. For example, I was trying to buy some tickets to Venezuela, like plane tickets, and I realized that it is very hard to buy them with a European card. I believe there's some Vito or something. I haven't gone into the detail, but initially, like I struggled for like an hour trying to see how I was going to make those kind of payments. Maybe the stablecoin can have a role there. So once again, I don't think it's a great asset or a great tool for savings. It has other use cases such as just payments, just storing value for a few days, like trying to get stability, but not like savings. I consider a little bit more long term than just getting some money and then using it in a few days after or something like that.
I think that the stablecoin thing is really useful in countries like Venezuela, but I don't see it as useful in El Salvador, for example, because El Salvador is already dollarized. They already have exposition and maybe even access to those dollars. But in the Venezuelan case and Argentina and all the countries that are not dollarized yet, if you are fighting the inflation of your national currency, you probably will go to something that is not as volatile as your money. So in the case of the Bolivar, I can handle the volatility of Bitcoin because my currency is even more volatile than Bitcoin. But I don't see like a Chilean, a guy from Chile, doing the same thing. Maybe they will see or will try to get some dollars, but if you can get the dollars, that's where I see the stablecoin use case. I see it as a way to get something that is stronger than your own currency, but in these scenarios where you can directly go through dollars. So if you have an economy like in El Salvador, you are seeing the inflation of your base currency, even though you don't have a central bank. So you can decide on those kind of policies. And in that case, you can find Bitcoin as a more useful thing if you are thinking in a long-term saving strategy or something like that. But I see this as a process. In all of the different countries in the region, they will flee to crypto assets like Tether and all the stable coins that they could find. But at the end of the day, if they keep learning and also they can afford to, they will probably end in Bitcoin, because as Juan said before, the stable coins are just a kind of crypto fiat way of approach to this market. But at the end of the day, the thing that keep beating all of this stuff is Bitcoin. So they will probably find this as a more easy way to get used to crypto and all the stuff. But the stablecoin use case is just limited as far as the central authority on the country is not yet dollarized or not trying to build some kind of dollarized solution to their citizens. And also because, as I said, nobody can make you out of Bitcoin. So in any kind of a scenario, you will have your money if you are holding your own keys. So I don't see like everybody in the region will value how important it is to have a censorship resistant money in the very beginning. But at the end of the day, when the time passes and I don't know if the tetherization, the USDTization of Venezuela becomes a problem to the government, or even if it became a problem from the own company, what will we use? We will be using Bitcoin. I don't see that people that will hold the dollars that they can get out as they are doing with the bolivars and all the stuff.
So it's funny because my point of view here is, well, I haven't been in Venezuela and Javier has the full experience there. But before my visit to El Salvador, I was a full hardcore Bitcoiner, let's call it like that. Like for me, it made sense that wallets, software wallets, had only Bitcoin denomination and no dollar. Who wants that dirty shit coin, no? But after El Salvador, my point of view of things changed. And I don't think that stablecoins are pointless in El Salvador. In fact, right now they have kind of a centralized stablecoin inside Chivo wallet. It's kind of Chivo dollar, but or at least is how I see it. And Roman probably can say more about this. But from my point of view, if we wanna onboard a whole country, there's gonna be Bitcoiners like us that will very fast understand the value proposal of Bitcoin, and will try to use Bitcoin as much as possible because it's just more convenient. But most of all, the people I spoke to, they don't understand it, and they don't understand that one day the volatility of Bitcoin, and we have to accept it. Bitcoin is volatile, no? And then I started to understand the dollar as a financial product from Bitcoin. So we talk a lot about, or a lot of people, traders and so on, they talk about margin trading and so on, and they use this kind of contracts to do 2x, 10x, 100x. This is a kind of financial product. For me, a stablecoin is another kind of financial product from the Bitcoin point of view, from the Bitcoin standard. Is a more stable, less volatile Bitcoin value. So it's kind of like, okay, you can protect yourself from Bitcoin's volatility in this financial product that are called stable coins. And definitely, I agree fully with Juan. They are not decentralized. There is nothing compares to Bitcoin. But I think that it's gonna take a while, if not a lot, to be able to kill this relationship between Bitcoin and stablecoin. Right now, the stablecoin king is the dollar. Maybe in the future can be another kind of stablecoin. But I think that this financial product that makes volatility less than what Bitcoin has nowadays, is going to keep on existing. And I find it really interesting, or I understood the point, the value proposition when I was in El Salvador.
So I don't know if you guys know, but one of the things that Sovryn is working on and looking to introduce soon is a Bitcoin-backed stablecoin. In fact, that's one of the, I think, big advantages of having native smart contracts for Bitcoin. So what it would basically allow you to do is, like there used to be a gold standard, and there was a treasury of gold, and on the basis of that, you could create dollars. With smart contracts, we can do the same thing and allow people to have Bitcoin, never sell their Bitcoin, and instead of selling their Bitcoin, basically mint for themselves dollars that are backed by that Bitcoin and spend that instead. So borrow against their Bitcoin to never have to sell that. And I'm curious, do you guys think? I'm curious how you guys think about that in relation to what you just said, being a financial product, and also in El Salvador, how this could maybe harmonize between the dollar as legal tender and Bitcoin legal tender, especially if you can create the dollar legal tender from the Bitcoin legal tender.
Well, I will say, guys, the education is the key here. That's why education is a big responsibility that the people in charge of educate people have to be clear about what they want to transmit and they want to teach people, because we're talking like I will ask like a question here. How many of you get and understand Bitcoin straight away the first time that you hear it? For everyone have been passing some time, but same in El Salvador, and El Salvador is a Bitcoin country. This is one that is clear. And when we started like talking about Bitcoin here in our community, Bitcoin was around 5,000 US. Well, that was the price. So at this point, like I'm talking about Sonter, right? Because this is where the community started, where the Bitcoin, the first like circular economy started. So the local people here, if you go to talk about volatility, they know what volatility is. They already understand it, but they have been like exposing, like they have the time to learn. And when you go and say like, hey, Bitcoin is 38 now, 38K. Wow, that's good. Maybe I have some Bitcoin that I get when Bitcoin was 5,000, So from that point of view, I think it took time. The education is super important, that people understanding that 70% of the people here in El Salvador didn't have like a bank account, access to the traditional system, to traditional financial system here in El Salvador. So they don't know what digital money is. We try to help this concept when we educate people, but some of the people say, no, I don't understand it. So if they start to hear like about Bitcoin, and like Lunaticoin say like, I seen good, and I think it was like a good point that the government roll out like this, that user have two balance in the wallet, like the balance in one stable coin or dollar and another in Bitcoin. But that people understand that different. And when I say like in the end of the month, what local families or the majority of the people can save is a little bit. But the difference is that they understand that where they're going to put that $20, that $50, that $100 in the end of the month, and that they understand that even with the risk that Bitcoin representing at that level, that's a chance too that will convert in something good, but that took time, and we're just Bitcoin just become a legal tender in September last year. We're just like a few months from that, you know? So I see people adopting and hearing like super fast here in El Salvador, more fast than we towns, you know? So, but I will remain and I will push these, like the people that are coming and they're educating people, they need to be clear and because it's super easier to make confusing the people that never hear about Bitcoin before or never hear about digital money before, or the people that never have access to buy an asset for the first time. But Bitcoin is fixing everything here, you know, and we're using, I would say in El Salvador, like Bitcoin, you know, the technology of Bitcoin and understanding that Bitcoin will representing different things for different people, but teach them all these scenarios, you know, and say like, oh, listen, it's an asset, it's a currency, it's a monetary network. You can use the monetary network and not touch Bitcoin, but you can benefit from that. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I really think here education is the key, and it will take some time. But I really like optimist that our country and the people are getting super fast.
Very much so. And actually, now that you mentioned Bitcoin education, Roman, I mean, really, all of the people here in their own way are, with their own mediums, bringing Bitcoin education to the masses, be it in Latin America or Spain. Perhaps we could talk about, given what you just said, how you all want to educate people, how you do it, and what might be the best way moving forward. Because I know that varies very much in somewhere like Spain compared to El Salvador, Venezuela. Maybe could we start with you, perhaps, Javier?
Well, I'm trying to maintain the maximalist approach because as we are living through a economy devastation, I feel like it is irresponsible in all the way to talk about these meme coins and all the cheat coins that you have in the casino. Maybe you can find that after you understand what Bitcoin is. And my main approach is to Bitcoin as a monetary asset. That's what I think that the maximalists in this case have some kind of reason, because if you are talking in money terms, it is the hardest money in our own market, because you have the dollars, you have the bolivars, as I said, you have pesos or reais. But if you compare all the different elements that Bitcoin have, it ends to be the harder money in this kind of market. So that's my approach. That's what I try to show the people. And I don't have this kind of intolerance to the shitcoins, because at the end of the day, it is your money, it is your own decision, and all the stuff that you want to do, you have the freedom to do as you want to. But in my project, in the things that I do, and in my own discourse, I'm trying to know chill these kind of solutions, because if you say today in Venezuela, like you have Bitcoin and it's really cool and blah blah all the stuff, but you have these other alternatives that you can earn some money with it, saving it, I don't know, for 5 years and all the stuff, and probably everybody will dismiss the Bitcoin thing that you say, even if you talk it in an Austrian way and all the stuff with the economy approach. The people will choose how to make money faster, because the way that we are living things right now are forcing people to dismiss understanding, dismiss knowledge, and try to get easy solutions to the different economic problems that they have. And I don't see Bitcoin as a way to make money of a business or something like that. I think that you need to have a work, you need to have your own job to earn money, and to, if you are earning Bitcoin directly, that will be the better way to accumulate Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, as we are living in this kind of context, I see this as the more responsible way to educate, to share these ideas around Bitcoin.
Perhaps Juan, do you have any thoughts on that? Or yeah, Lunaticoin, go ahead. And maybe Juan after.
My approach is I don't know. I always I find a new rabbit hole and then whatever catches my attention, then I try to explain why it's so interesting for me. And I think I'm visiting all the rabbit holes I can. And why so is because I believe that everybody has a different interest. And maybe one is into economics, one is into finance, one is into mining, and then one day they will find a podcast that will catch their attention. Of course, I also think about beginners and which were the things that I was more confused about, and I try to think how is it better to explain them. And sometimes I do this kind of shows, but it's getting harder and harder, no? Because you start to be too far from the beginning point, so you get too deep. In general, to me, Bitcoin is kind of a present that Satoshi did us, I know that this can sound cheesy, but it's something that has the power to change the world, and we can only fuck it. So it has everything to change the world, and we can just only spoil it if we go the wrong way. So I'm trying to live the dream, and I'm trying to push to the limit. So I am really strong with KYC-free Bitcoin. I am pushing this kind of services. I am trying to think, how would I like the world of tomorrow look like? And this is what I try to push in all its different rabbit holes. But one of my core values is, as Javier, Bitcoin only and KYC free.
Great. I agree with most of what Javier and Lunaticoin said. I like their approach, and I think it's very valuable to have it. I have taken a different approach, and now with Revolution Bitcoin, with the documentary that we're working on, we're going to try to go back to basics. We want to explain people Bitcoin as simple as possible. We don't want to talk about hashes, public and private key cryptography, elliptic curve cryptography, nothing like that. We're going to talk about mining, yes. We're going to talk about trading. It's part of what exists. We actually haven't interviewed any trader so far, and maybe we won't, but it's part of Bitcoin. So we want to show Bitcoin from more the human perspective. We want to show that there are people like Javier, Lunati, Roman, like myself, like all of you listening to this podcast who are interested in Bitcoin, and we all see it as something different. For some of us, it's an instrument of savings. For some others, it's a life philosophy. Some see it as an investment, and some see it just as an asset that they can trade. And those perspectives, from what I think, they are all valuable. At least they are all valid. So we want to do that. We want to just show, hey, guys, there's this Bitcoin thing. There are these people who kind of know the asset, know the technology, know this revolution, and we want to share that with the world in a very simple, easy to understand way, so that we want to plant the seed. And once they have the seed, they can go and find other resources such as Lunatico's podcast, the YouTube channel of Satoshi Venezuela. Even I have some more complicated topics that I try to explain as well. But I believe that first we need to reach them, and we need to reach them with an easy to understand language and with something that is appealing. I believe it's going to be hard to start telling them, look, I'm not saying it's wrong. I actually think that's the aim where we want to reach in some point. But I believe it's going to be hard to tell them, look, you need to have multi-sig wallet with 3 out of 5 keys, and then you need to have them all these seeds are going to be generated by yourself. Oh, by the way, what's a seed? And I believe that that's too complicated for start. So I want to go and be like the recruiter, let's say. I want to recruit, I want to put people in this funnel, and then they can take the way that they want, and there are resources, and every day there are more people like all of us here trying to share Bitcoin and trying to share more like let's say in-depth things about this.
Yago, on your end, do you have thoughts based on what you've heard and maybe in the approach you take as with Sovryn and in this world?
Yes, but to be honest, I'm much more interested in sort of just learning. I would be very, I mean, so look, the way I see it is that we grow Bitcoin by having it support people's sovereignty and solving the problems that they have in terms of their personal independence. And first and foremost, that means their monetary and financial independence. You know, we've spoken a lot during this call about how a lot of people, you know, they don't really feel like they can save yet because they're living, you know, paycheck to paycheck. And I think that the way that we grow Bitcoin and the way that we improve upon Bitcoin's mission, which I think is to empower people to be self-sovereign and to be free, is by answering those use cases. And that's why I've been super excited about Sovryn, because it allows us to do things with Bitcoin which previously weren't possible. And so I'm very curious what products, tools are most missing in the, you know, in the different Spanish-speaking countries that our guests are from, that Sovryn could build. Like, what is the wish list of cool or necessary tools that could really make a difference? And these could be things that already maybe exist on other chains, or maybe things that don't exist anywhere.
Yeah, I want to touch a little bit on this. How you say in the beginning, there are many Bitcoiners that they don't want to sell their Bitcoins, you know? And I start to see and hear people getting loans against their Bitcoins, and I have been like taking part in some business that they just bought a house here in El Salvador, and they just borrow money against their Bitcoin, you know? And that's, for me, was like, wow, you can do that? Yeah, it's possible. So I think that will be, and I think it's the future for many things that are coming, and many products in this line that will offer loans against everyone's Bitcoin. And that's beautiful to see it now happening, and it's incredible, you know?
I think that something that we are missing, especially we want to achieve the main objective of Bitcoin, or one of the objectives, which is, let's say, to live without or with less intermediaries, would be to have a decentralized on and off ramp. I think that tool would be great. I know that Javier with Francisco Calderon are working on something like that. I love it. I'm going to support them as much as possible, because I think that is what we're missing, especially if you want no KYC. That is not that easy to do. And if we could get an easy way to buy Bitcoin or acquire Bitcoin, changing your dirty fiat, and also to go back to fiat if that's what you want, selling your Bitcoin in a decentralized, sovereign, as your name is, way, I think that would be great. That would be a tool that I would support 100%.
I will tell you a little about that project because it is really the Francisco's baby, but it was an idea that I had because we started a public Telegram group with the Satoshi Venezuela community, and as far as it get bigger and bigger, people started to make P2P trades using our platform that was only the social platform, a public group that we are administrating and guiding. So they starting to do this kind of trades, but it is really it make us too big intermediary in this kind of system, even though we don't hold any kind of money, nor Bitcoin, nor any stuff, but make the Satoshi Venezuela group as if it is a centralized platform. So I was thinking in a way to make this same way that they were operating in a P2P way, to recreate it, but outside of the group. Like, we don't have to see the people connecting to do the trades and all the stuff. They can use the contacts that they made in the group. But my key idea was to make all the process outside of the group, because probably the group is seen by the regime guys, because we are living in Venezuela and that's our reality. And then I started to talk with Francisco, and I told him that I had this idea of building something that make you easy to exchange Bitcoin from Bolivar. So obviously it had to use Lightning Network. And I thought in an old solution that HODL had back in the day, like 2 years ago, with Lightning. So I started to ask Francisco if that will be possible. And you know that Telegram bot that is LNTX bot, it is a really good wallet. It is custodial, but it is a really good and useful wallet. And I asked Francisco if he can imagine some kind of way to build this P2P bot in Telegram. So he started to talk with another guy that is Franklin Noriega. He is Venezuelan too. They started to talk about the bots in Telegram, and then Francisco came with the solution of all the stuff. We are using something in Lightning that is called hold invoice. That's why we don't have the custody of the funds. And I could go further and explain that in other moment, but it is named LNP2P bot. LNP2P bot. That's how you will find it in Twitter. You can try it wherever you are, and especially if you are part of a community or you are an admin of a community, you can add the bot in the group or start to try it by yourself. So you will see that if you are having this kind of P2P trades inside your group, it will be a really useful tool. And that's the approach that I have to the things that I think that are missing in the adoption of Bitcoin. Because as I said, it is because the community I'm part of is having problems trying to exchange Bitcoin in a P2P way, in an easy and faster and cheap way. So we're not charging fees for this. I think that Francisco is a more hardcore of a Bitcoiner than I'm. So we are trying to build it, to use it by ourselves, but also because it will be useful to other Bitcoiners. And I think that besides that, if you can build a decentralized coin join system inside your protocol, will be really useful, because we already have some kind of solution like that with the coin join solution of Samurai that is named Whirlpool, and there are other coin join implementations. But if Bitcoin will be like this big monetary system around the world, meaning big that it is a really sustainable alternative to the main system, the main monetary system of the world, privacy will be more and more critical. So I think that's something where you are not relying in any kind of level to a team, even if they are a good team or good actors in the Bitcoin scene. We can't rely on anybody, because they can be another Russell Bridge, or they could let them to bad things. So that's what I'm thinking in a kind of privacy-focused solution that is decentralized, maybe a second layer exclusively to use this kind of thing. I don't know, but that could be good to see.
That's super cool. I'm sorry, Lunatic. I just want to say I really want to add that to the different groups we have.
What Javier and Francisco did is amazing, and I fully recommend that bot. It's great how it went from 0 to 100 is amazing. I have specific demands for what can you do. I need a proper, and wait for it, a proper Chivo wallet. So Chivo wallet was not very good in deploying, and I suppose Roman can say that still has some problems, but it is great how easy it is integrated, the stablecoin and the Bitcoin side. I want that, but on a phone. Sovryn works great, and it's great that you implemented directly connection with hardware wallets. Congratulations for that, because that's really appreciated. But I want that on the phone. And aside from the phone, when I see the two balances and where I can easily swap from one to another and move balance from one side to another, from outside the legacy system, that's the most interesting part. But I also want a better borrowing platform. You have something that is still on the works, and I have used it, and it's great that there is something like that, but I think that, definitely can be better. And if we could integrate that, if we could integrate loans all in a phone app, plus what for me is very necessary right now, not from Sovryn, but from all RSK ecosystem, I want an on and off ramp to Lightning. And I saw that there was something happening in Sovryn with that. I tried to use it like 4 days ago. It was not working, lack of liquidity, something like this. But the biggest pain from my point of view using RSK right now and using Sovryn and money on chain and so on is to get out. It's very easy to get in with what you did with Fast Bitcoin, but it's not as easy to get out. So it feels kind of a fly trap, no? To get in is easy, but to get out is not as easy. So if these things, if on and off ramps to Lightning could work, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. There is a wallet. It's custodial, but also has the non-custodial version that is called Coinos. It's a web wallet. And they did something great. That is from the custodial side of things. They have Bitcoin, they have Lightning, and they have Liquid, not RSK. That's I asked already, and they should integrate RSK. And you can send Bitcoin on chain and seamlessly change it into whatever you want. Lightning, Liquid. Even they charge like stupid fees, like 3 sats. Okay, I understand that there has to be fees, but if there would be this hub where you can easily enter, get out, and you feel like without restrictions, oh my God, I think adoption would raise very fast. So these are my demands.
No, and the needs are so different from everyone, right? But one of the things that we're learning here that the majority of the people, they need, they're learning in the practical way, you know. So I will say that we request more help and education, like putting, if you've never been in El Salvador, so come and support, help with education, come and companies, like, you know, come and build something here to help with the infrastructure that the country needs, because El Salvador is super important for, this is like the biggest dream, you know. It's not anymore about just El Salvador, it's about everyone, and everyone understands how important it is that this is succeeds. And it's so beautiful seeing like all the people coming here, helping more people, local peoples, giving better option of works, better pays, and all this. But we need help, and everyone can come here as a tourism, as a volunteering, with anything that you.
So Lunaticoin, you were talking about having an easy way to come off of rootstock. So I don't know if you know, but Sovryn recently launched, but it hasn't been advertised yet because it's still small, for early adopters. But there is now a way to get off rootstock as fast as you can get on. So fast BTC is now bi-directional.
Okay, great.
And the Lightning Network part is something that we're working on hard to also add more liquidity to. So I think those two things of your demands will be met, and I hope we'll be able to meet your other demands as well.
That's great. I mean, the Lightning side, fast Bitcoins will really help. The Lightning side is, if you can make your Bitcoins electric as fast as you can, that's another story. So yeah, that would be really great.
Roman is reconnecting. Hopefully he can connect and just finish his thoughts. Just give him a moment here. If anyone wants to add something. By the way, to all our listeners, if you'd like to speak, just send a speaker request to us and we will give you a chance to talk to our awesome guests. Oh, here we go. Roman is back on board.
I'm also going to have to drop off soon, but it would be great to start taking some questions from the audience.
Yeah, definitely. So just send your requests over, folks, and we'll let you be a speaker. Oh, here we go. There's Danny on board. Go ahead, Dan. You can unmute your mic.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here. So many friends. Okay, guys. I heard, I don't know if it was Yago or someone else from Sovryn, that you were building a Bitcoin-backed stablecoin. But as far as I know, you already have DOC from Money on Chain. I didn't get the point there. Are you talking about another stablecoin, or you were talking about DOC?
So first of all, you're absolutely right. DOC already exists, is an existing Bitcoin-backed stablecoin, and we have it on Sovryn. So that's something that you can use already. You can borrow, you can lend, you can trade, you can even margin trade with DOC, which is dollar on chain. In addition to that, Sovryn has a few teams that are working on different ways of creating stability, to create even more stability. So to create a higher degree of stability under many, many different circumstances, creating new methods of stability, new ways of collateralization or using futures, and aggregating all of these into a single standardized Bitcoin-backed stablecoin, which would include DOC as well. And in addition to that, introducing the ability to allow anyone to mint their stablecoins by borrowing against their own Bitcoin through a protocol called Zero. So the idea is not to replace DOC, but to enhance DOC and to continue growing the ecosystem of Bitcoin-backed stablecoins.
Would that be kind
Great.
of...
No, it's clear.
Sorry, Danny, and hi, Danny. Un abrazo. Would that Yago be a system kind of MakerDAO and what they do with DAI to create a stablecoin based on debt?
There are some similarities, but it would be actually pretty different. I actually see Litecoin is on the call, and he could probably chime in as well. So Litecoin, if you wanna give your view, but there are a few big differences. First of all, the idea is to have, instead of with MakerDAO, you've got one method of creating stability with many different types of assets, right? So most of, for example, DAI is backed by USDC rather than anything else. So with what we're trying to do is have, instead of many different assets in one method, many different methods and only one asset, which is Bitcoin. And then, for example, Zero, which is the borrowing, the way you borrow against it is more similar to a protocol called Liquidity rather than MakerDAO. And so it's still, you're collateralizing and over-collateralizing the Bitcoin, but you can do it without paying any interest rates and with much faster liquidations. And also by aggregating the liquidations through a smart contract, you don't have the the auction method, and you also reduce the chance that the system won't be able to liquidate positions in time. So it's conceptually similar to MakerDAO, but the methodology is different, and I think superior.
Okay, we'll have to have a look. Thank you.
Guys, I need to leave. I have a meeting now, but it's a pleasure. And what I was saying that the only require is if you can come here and build something here, you want to come here as a tourism, or you want to come here and helping with education, you're more than welcome, and hope I will meet you here soon.
Bye, Roman.
Hope to see you soon then.
Thank you very much, Roman.
I have to jump too because I have live stream our weekly show in 20 minutes. So it was again a pleasure, and really nice to hear you all my friends here, and also the new ones. Thank you for having me.
Cheers. Thank you, Lunaticoin.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay, so we have Aaron on deck. Are you able to speak now?
Yes, I just wanted to congratulate you guys that you guys came along. Long ago, I was trying to make the case that Bitcoiners shouldn't see the dollar as an enemy in economic terms, as it is a sort of like a gateway into higher liquidity. The closer Bitcoin is to the dollar, the closer people see it as being indistinctive. So people would not mind accepting Bitcoin or accepting the dollar. And it is going to have to do some type of crowding out where little by little people get used to using both. And this, regardless of any ideological concerns we have, many of us, we tend to be libertarians. It is a tool that is available, and Luna, he already left, but I think he made a good point. Just see it as a financial instrument, and that's all. We should just see it, the dollar and stable coins, as just serving as an instrument for the expansion of Bitcoin. And so I'm really happy that you guys already came to figure that out, because one thing is that we have ideological concerns with fiat money, and another one, the fact that it is a current tool that exists. And so I'm going to use government roads, whether I don't think it's appropriate to use taxes for that, but no matter what, it's still a tool that is available to me, and we should actually use it to get from place to place. But that's about it. I just wanted to congratulate everybody that you guys kind of figured that out finally, to separate the ideological from whatever is just a tool that we have access to. So thank you guys, appreciate it.
Guys, I apologize, but I'm also going to have to drop off. I really enjoyed this call, and I'm hoping we'll be able to have more like this in the future. Maybe next time I'll be able to be in Latin America while I'm taking the call. I actually was learning Spanish and had to stop because the work on Sovryn became too busy. But I'm going to have to get back to it soon. Right.
Maybe I could help you a bit. Cheers, Yago.
Cheers, stay Sovryn.
All right, guys, so we don't have any more questions coming up, so I guess we can wrap it up for this evening. I want to give a big thanks to Juan and Cripto, Javier, Lunaticoin, everyone involved, Roman over at Bitcoin Beach. Be sure to follow these guys just out of solidarity, Bitcoin solidarity. You know, there's Roman Martinez at Bitcoin Beach, Lunaticoin at Lunaticoin, Juan and Cripto. Definitely check out his work with Revolucion Bitcoin. And of course, Javier Bastardo. Make sure to follow these guys and give them support. We really appreciate you coming on tonight. And yeah, thank you so much. Muchas gracias a todos. And stay sovereign. Thank you so much, guys. We'll end this call now. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for the invite.